So for this lesson, we're going to do a very simple project, but it's going to teach you a very important drawing skill, and that's how to draw a cylinder. Okay, so we're going to do because we're coming up on, on Valentine's Day, we're going to do a picture of some heart flowers in a vase. And so obviously the vase is the cylinder that you'll be drawing. So we need to do a couple of things to get started to line up our composition. You want to start off with a pencil and an eraser. You also need a Sharpie. Now, probably an ultrafine would work best, but if you don't have that, the next larger size, the fine point, would work as well. We're going to be watercoloring, so you need the usual things for that: brushes and watercolor paints, and if you're using the tube watercolors, you need to use a paper plate for a palette. And then I've got a bowl of water. I don't have it right beside me because I want to make sure that I don't spill it while I'm drawing. Okay, so you've got your piece of paper, and you want it to be portrait size, and not portrait size, portrait in its orientation. And then you want to kind of find this middle line. Now, if you want to, you can fold your paper over and make a crease. If you don't want to fold your paper, you can just kind of, side it. And make a little line like right in the middle. And this, we're just working out a guide for your drawing, okay? The next thing that you want to do is that you want to put the line where your vase is going to, whatever it is you're going to have it sitting on. And I was kind of playing around with mine, and I thought, well, you can make it straight across like it's sitting on a table, but I kind of liked having just a little curve to it. I don't know why, just felt like something I wanted to do. So I didn't put it behind mine because I've already got the vase sketched in, but you can put, and you've got this line going at about a third of the way up from the bottom. Okay, now we're almost done with laying out our composition. But the next thing that you want to do is decide how big you want your vase to be. And so we are going to, let me make sure I'm not getting many shadows on here when I put my hands on. We are going to make a mark where the top of your vase is going to be, and then another mark where the bottom of your vase is going to be. Okay? And you don't want, as I've said to you before in other lessons, you don't want to have it sitting right on the edge of the table because it'll look like it's about to fall off the edge. So we want to bring it down and put a mark well onto the surface it's going to be sitting on. Okay, so let me repeat. We've got the middle of our paper vertically up and down. We've made the line where your vase is going to be sitting. We've decided how long or how tall the vase is going to be. And when you're making that decision, make sure we're going to have flowers up here. So you don't want it going all the way up towards the top. You want to leave plenty of room for your flowers. So that's where the top of the vase is going to be. And then this is where the bottom of the vase is going to be. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my Sharpie, and I'm going to show you the first step in drawing a cylinder. It's really quite easy. Okay. So we want to make it look like it is three-dimensional. And we're going to start at the top, and we're going to make It's a long, skinny oval. And you want a little bit of curve here and a little bit of curve there. It does not have to be perfect, but we want it to, you know, look like it is a round shape, okay? And then I want you to come down to the point that you made for the bottom of it, of the vase, and you're going to do the same kind of curve as the top, okay? And you want it to hit that mark and then back up a little bit, okay? Excuse me. And then the next important thing is for you to, when you're going to start doing the vertical lines, you want them to start at the outside edges of that oval. You don't want it to start here. You don't want it to come up here. You want it to be right on the outside edges. There you go. So draw lightly because you might need to erase a little bit, and that's exactly what I did when I was sketching mine out. And then I'm going to, you can make whatever shape you want with your vase. You just want one side to be the same as the other side, or I should say a mirror image, okay? We've talked about the concept of symmetry, and you want your vase to be as symmetrical as possible. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it to look like you're drawing kind of a realistic vase. Okay, so there you have your vase. If you need to take a little more time, you can stop and pause. Now, this is going to be filled with flowers, and we're going to assume that this is a clear vase, okay? And so we want to, it will have water in it. And this is where knowing how to draw cylinders it really comes in handy, because you're going to echo this shape down here where your water, the top of your water is. So you're going to do the same. It doesn't have to be the same size necessarily, depending on what your vase is, but you need to have the same curves. So if you draw this curve, it should be the same as this curve. If I wanted to do a curve here, it should be the same. So let's say, for example, that I want to do like a band here on the outside and of etching or something on my vase. It would be the same kind of curve here and here. Okay, that's a little off right there, but it's okay. All right, so then I'm going to, remember I said that I'm decided to make mine a little curved. Maybe I want it to look like it's a round table instead of a flat one like we usually do. You don't want to, the water will be making it opaque enough that you won't see this back line. So if you have a back line here, you want to erase it. Okay, so we've got our vase, we've got our water, we've got our table. So since this is clear, we're going to see the stems, okay? And you want to think about having a balance of flowers. So we don't want all of our flowers on one side and nothing over here. We don't want everything to be all the same height. Okay, we want it to, I always like to think of it as I'm drawing something that's kind of an upside down U shape. Okay, we also don't want our hearts, our floral hearts to be the same size. Okay, so I'm going to start, I like to start on one side, and I'm going to have this come down here, and it's going to end in the vase. And then I like to do another one. So I've got one side here. I need to do another one that's sort of going up in the middle. I'm just, again, just kind of blocking off my, or blocking out my composition here. And because that's a bigger, it's going up higher, I want it to go down lower in the water as well. And then I'm going to do another one on the other side. So that will help me get my balance. Okay, and then I can fill in. So I like to have things going down here. So I'm going to have one that kind of looks like it's a stem that's been bent down. And again, you're doing these in pencil, but you can then you have the freedom to erase, and then you can go over it with your Sharpie. Okay, and I don't want everything to be looking the same, so I'm going to do a different type of stem here. And notice I've got them curving inside the water too. And then this one, so you can see how I'm kind of building the composition. This one I'm going to have it kind of crossing over, because we want this to be a little interesting too. And this one, I'm going to have it crossing over here. See, I'm getting kicky down there. Okay, and then we've got that one. So I've got this looking good. I've got up here, I've got that kind of U shape going with my stems. And so now I'm going to, if you remember last week's, we learned how to draw hearts. And this one I'm going to make upside down. But you're going to do the top of the heart first. This one will be easier to demonstrate. Oh, my light is giving me too many shadows here. Move my light around, maybe that will work. Again, you don't want your hearts to be in the same size or even the same shape if you don't want to. Because think about flowers. They're all different colors and sizes and shapes. I think this design would be really nice on homemade Valentine's Day cards. Okay, so I've got some medium-sized hearts here, and so I want to make sure that they're all different shapes, sizes, excuse me. And so I'm going to make a bigger one, and then I'm going to make one that is crossing over that one. So I'm not going to see that line. That's why I drew it like that. All right, so I've got my flowers. And then you can hold it up to see if you like your composition, if it needs to have anything added to it or erased, and start it again. All right, so we need some leaves here. So for these, y'all know I like spirals. So I'm just going to do some spirals for leaves and not put a lot of leaves on it. And I have one more. Okay, so that filled in some of the space, the negative space there. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're going to, so that this isn't plain, we're going to just pretend like, you know, a few of the heart flowers have fallen off. And so we're going to put just a few hearts kind of scattered around. And you don't have to do this if you don't want. I just thought it added a little bit of interest to the tabletop. Okay, so now we have our composition done. So I'm going to pause the tape. When I come back, we will, while you finish drawing and also outline it with your Sharpie. And then I will come back and we'll clean up the stray pencil marks and start painting. Okay, now we are ready to clean up our pencil lines that might be showing, because remember that the pencil lines will show through our watercolor, so we want it to look a little tidy. This is another reason to make sure that you draw lightly. Okay, so now we want to start doing our painting, and what we're going to do is, hold on, we're going to excuse me, do our hearts first. And so we're going to make those all sorts of different colors. This part of the background is going to stay white. So we can, it'd be a little difficult to paint in amongst those stems and that kind of thing. So we'll go easy on ourselves. And I'm just putting just little bits of the different colors that I want to use. Do some yellow. And I want to use red. Okay, so I'm going to use my medium, well, I guess you could say this is a pretty small brush. Make sure that you wet it nicely. My dog and my cat are trying to decide whether they're friends or not. Cat says one thing, the dog says another. Okay, and so I'm going to do all of them that I want to make blue at one time, and then I will clean my paintbrush out. Okay. Now I'm going to do my yellow next before my water gets too dirty, because the light colors are more susceptible to picking up the darker color in the water. Now, if you remember, if we mix some of our red and our yellow together, we're going to get a nice orange. Oh, that didn't have enough red in there. I was being too timid with my pigment. There we go. So you can play around with your colors. Now I'm going to go with just a straight red. I think I'm going to make this big one a straight red. Okay, I like that one. And now I'm going to move on to the purple. I like how the colors are looking and how this is going to be a happy painting for us. we've got all of that done. Now I'm going to use my smaller brush and just kind of highlight with green those little spiral leaves. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on my little spirals here. You can just paint alongside or on top of, or whatever you want to do with your paint. You can paint alongside the black marker. It's just a highlight. Call attention to them a little bit. You can do the same thing with the down along the side of the stems if you'd like to. I think I'm just going to stick with the spiral leaves. With this more delicate painting, make sure that you have just enough water on your brush to be moving the paint easily. If it's too wet, you'll lose control of the paint. If it's too dry, it won't flow off of your brush. Okay, there we go. That looks nice up there. I like that. Okay, I'm going to go back to my previous paint, and I forgot, paintbrush. I forgot I need to take some of this color here and paint my hearts that are on the table. Okay, so now we're ready to paint the water. And one of the things I want you to do is to leave a highlight. So if you want to grab your pencil again and just very, very lightly make a mark. I'll hold this up so you can see it. Mark right here. I don't want to outline that with the black because I want it to be very subtle. Okay, so we're going to take a darker blue and the blue that we used here, kind of mix it together. I'll take my medium flat brush and use it, because we do have some little spots to get to. Whoops. Well, I guess that needs to be blue too. And so you want to make sure that you don't paint inside that area. That's going to be our highlight area. And you can make around the edges a little darker. And we'll go over with our darker blue in spots as well. Okay, so when you hit the center part, you can take your bigger brush because we do need to work a little faster. Okay, and now, while it's still wet, I'm going to take this darker blue and go around the bottom of it a little bit more. Around the edges. Oops, did not want to do that. Well, we'll be painting over it. And then on the top side of the water as well. And if you want to, as we've done in other lessons, if you want to feather that out a little bit, you can do that by adding a little more water. I'm going to put some more water on my mistake there. Okay, so I've been looking at it to see how I like it. Okay, so now what I want to do is take a very, very pale blue, like really pale, and paint this top part. Like hardly any pigment at all. just to give it a little bit of definition from our white background. If you want to put just a little bit in here to soften up our highlight, we can do that as well. Okay. So the last thing that we need to do is our table or tablecloth. And so we can think about what color we want that to be. I'm kind of leaning towards a darker red, but it all kind of depends on what color you use, kind of dependent upon what color you made your hearts. So I think I'm going to give this a go and see if I like it or not. And again, I want to use my smaller brush. When I'm painting the edges. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Add some more water. Now I can use my bigger brush in this space. And you can make it have some texture if you want. Just want to be careful when you get up towards the edges of things, since you're using this big brush. Now, right under the bottom, you want to make it dark. So we're going to go back over that. So it's kind of like a shadow where it's sitting on the table. And then you can take your bigger brush and do this bottom. It's okay if you get some paint on the table because this is watercolor, so it'll come off easily. So I can just add some water to this if it's too dark as you get away from the base. You can move that paint around. Now I'm going to go back to my smaller brush. I'm doing some edges here. Oh, living dangerously there, using the big brush. Remember not to overwork your paper. I'm getting kind of close to that, so I'm going to have to stop. I just wanted it to, the two sides to sort of match, and this side ended up being a little bit darker, so. There we go. Fun. Cover up this white a little bit. And then I think I'll call it a painting. I hope you had a lot of fun making this and that you have a very happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.